to start working with the particles, you need to know that we need to have usually an object that will be the emitter of the particles, right? So we need to define which will be the place or the position or the object that will emit all of those particles. In the case of the ship, for instance, I would set some particles at the rear of the ship, so we can have some kind of propulsor here. And you need to define that part when you create a particle system. So right, if for instance, if you have a candle and you want to create a flame with the particles, you need to specify what's the point where the particles will be emitted, right? And you have a lot of properties there. Let me show you. So to start with this, I will need to create a new class, and I'm going to call that the explosion. I'm going to use that class for the enemy explosion and the ship explosion as well. So new file that will be explosion.ts, export class explosion. And the first thing we need to add here is the particle system. In Babylon we have the particle system, part of the babylon.js core package. And in the constructor, I want to specify the enemy position or the emitter position. Which will be a vector tree. Let me add the vector tree, babylon.js core. Okay. So the first thing I need to do is just to create an instance. This particle system equals new particle system, and the particle system accepts a name and also the capacity of particles. In this case, I'm going to use 500. You can use 1000 if you want. And I need to pass the scene. So I'm going to pass the scene here. Okay, because the scene should be part of the babylon.js core and not the babylon.js. That's fine. So the first thing we need to set on the particles is the particle texture. So this particle system dot particle texture equals new texture from babylon.js core as well. And it needs a path of the texture. Here on my assets, I will need the texture for that. So I don't have it. I'm going to create that. I'm going to add a new folder called textures. And I need to add the texture that I'm going to use. It will be a little white square. Let me show you. Okay, I'm gonna paste it here. So this particle is a PNG. It just have white square, and I'm gonna use that as a particle, right? So I'm gonna put the path to assets, textures, particle.png. And you can create another You can create a circle image if you want, or any other stuff, but we need an image here as a texture for the particle. And I'm going to pass this in at the end. So the particle system emitter will be in the emitter position. And here comes the most fun part. We need to set a bunch of properties for the particles. Let me explain a little bit, a few ones. So we have also the min size. The min size, it will be 0.02, and we also have the max size to 0.2. So this means that when you use the particles, they can have different sizes, right? You can have 500 particles for different sizes, and it can start from 0.02, and the maximum size of that particle will be 0.2. You can have 1 if you want, or 20, whatever it suits your needs. In my case, for an explosion, because all my sprites are resized, I need to have just a little chunks of that will be the explosion, right? So the particles also have the max and the min lifetime, 0.2, max lifetime, and there will be 0.6. We also have the mean emit power. So this is like the speed of every particle. So they will start moving to different places in random direction. So the mean power emit, it will be the minimum amount of the speed that they can have. We can also have the max emit power. It will be to number 3, and we can have the update speed, 0.03, right? So those are a bunch of properties that we need to set before we can use the particles, and I will recommend you to read that chapter in the babylon.js documentation, because they have several examples, different ones. They are even using different textures. They're creating flames. They have like a particle helper or something like that. It will be nice if you can read that. So I'm just focusing on this particular example for the explosion I want to create here. So I have another property that is the color one, and I have the color 2 and the color dead. So the color one will be the first color that will be appear while is updating. It will be changing or transforming to from color 1 to color 2, and when the particle is about to die, then it will change to color dead. So I'm gonna have some colors here, new color 4. So I'm gonna set that for red. I want also for the second color, I want that to be like a yellow, and I want the end color to be a white for the dead color. So I'm also have direction 1 and direction 2. Those are also new vectors 3, and they will start from a negative direction to a positive direction. It will be minus, minus, and minus. So with that, we can have our particle already set. but we need another method just to spawn our particles. So I'm going to call an explode method here, and I'm going to set a position, which is a vector 3, and I'm going to add an executor, which is like a helper to me in case I want to change the particle implementation, right? So in this case, I'm going to use this particle system dot emitter. It will be the position, right? So once I define the particle and I set all the properties, I can change the position of the property to spawn data instance in different places what I want, right? And this to start showing the particles, I have another method that is the start. So this particle system start, and this will start the execution of the particle system. So I need another method I need a way to stop the to stop the particle system from execution. For instance, if I'm going to explode, I just want to explode just a few seconds and then disappear. That's why I'm going to add this set timeout. And I'm going to add an arrow function here, and I'm going to say this particle system stop, right? And after that, I'm going to execute the executor, which is the function that I'm passing here. If I pass null, it's okay, don't worry. But just in case I need to do something else after I stop the particle system, I will use this argument here. And finally, I'm gonna just stop that after 7 seconds. And just for the player ship, I want to change the color because I want the explosion for the ship to be different. So I'm gonna use this function here called the colors to change for the ship color. The ship is in shades of blue, so it will be white, then it will be a white blue, just 0.7, 0.8, 1 and 1, and so for the last color it will be like a dark blue. So this will be like 0.2, 0.5, 1 and 1. So with that we can have our explosion class ready. We need to use that into the places of the objects you want to explode. I want to explode the enemy when it's hit by the laser, and I want to explode the ship when it's hit by the bullet. So then I can go now to the ship. I need to enable the explosion. I can finally import that, and I'll be doing the same with the enemy interface here. So now in level 1, when I create the enemies and the ship, they will ask for that new argument here, and I just need to add that. So for the explosion, I need to add a new instance of the explosion, right? So that will be new explosion. Let me save first. Save all. New explosion, and I need a place vector 30 because I'm not going to explode that just when I create the instance of the enemy, of course. And I will pass this scene as a parameter. This 0, it's a function. I'm gonna add this same code here. I'm gonna create the same stuff. So now our enemies are okay. I need to change the shape for the explosion. This shape. But in this case, I think I need to also use the set shape colors. So now I can use this object here, this shape.explosion dot set shape colors. For this instance of the explosion, I'm going to change the color 1, 2, and that for the blue ones that I set here in this method. That's for the ship. So now I want this ship to explode when I have a collision with the enemy bullets. So enemies, update enemies. So update enemy bullets here. Make a ship explosion. And make game over, make the ship explosion. Yeah, here. So I have the ship, this ship, that explosion. That explode, and I would like to pass the position where I'm going to set the explosion. In this case, it will be the sprite of the ship position. Sprite that position that clone, and I can pass a function, and I'm going to put a note here to set game over state. Right? That's why I added this executor function at the end as a callback for this, because I want the game to end when my explode animation is finished. The position, that's for the ship. Now I need to make the enemies to explode. So if I go to the update lasers, where I have the collision, here's the collision with the enemies. When it's visible, it's false. That's right. And I want, in this case, the enemy at this position to explode also. Enemies that explosion that explode, and that will explode to this position, which is the new vector. No, that doesn't. Well, to the enemy, to this sprite position cloned. It will clone here. Position that clone. I think that's fine. Let me see what happens in the code. There you can see. Now it's exploding, right? Let me. That's not working, but if somebody hits me, then it's gonna explode. Let me double check the explosion with the enemies. This explode. These enemies, explosion, these enemies. Sprite position. All right, I know what's happening here is because I just changed the position of the sprite and I need to get that before I change that. So if I change this line of code here, that might work. I think, let me check again. Right, that's the way I have it. So now it's exploding, you see? So now I need to stop the particles after a certain amount of time because this is not stopping. Let me check why. It's because I put 7,000, it should be 700. Okay, let's check again. Yep, much better. Right. So they will stop after 700 time. That's fine. That's fine. We are almost done with the game, so we need to add some details now. Hey, thanks for watching. And if you have any suggestion or comment, just put it below. Thank you.